Sorry.
It's okay. You want me to click off of it? Got it. There we go. So I've been with Simple Desk since 2020, and I was hired on right before the first lockdown. So because of my when I started, I've been working closely one-to-one with a lot of our local small business owners, where their biggest challenge has always been how they can market themselves without a budget. If there's one thing that I do know, it's how to market on a budget. I have people who just the only thing they kind of factor in is how much am I paying myself or how much am I losing time by taking over these marketing initiatives. So that's kind of my area of expertise, is how do we organically market your business so that you're not spending a ton of cash. So in this session, we're going to be talking about how to market your business effectively when you don't have a large budget or really not a big budget at all. We're going to be discussing defining your goals and marketing strategy, how to analyze costs and create a marketing budget, creating a content calendar that fits within that budget. I'm going to be giving you some low budget marketing ideas. So if you're really feeling tapped, this is a great idea to kind of refresh and kind of get excited about your marketing efforts. And then how to evaluate your efforts and refine them for future success. So why does your marketing budget matter? So one, it helps you stay on track financially. So a lot of the businesses that I work with don't even consider their business in terms of a budget. So when they're marketing, they're just like throwing things to the wall and hope that it sticks. Like, oh, I need to post today, so I'm just going to post. Or they get so caught up in kind of the day-to-day that thinking about marketing from a long-term perspective is just not feasible for them. But if you're not thinking about a budget, it can cause your business to fail, or you could be hemorrhaging funds by spending too much time. It helps you allocate funds into the right places. So when you know how much you spend, you know how much you can put into each avenue. It allows you to determine which strategies also work the best that fit within your budget. That way you're not doing all the things. That's another thing that I see a lot of small business owners just trying to do all the things, even though it's not necessarily where their target market lies or what they need to be doing at the time. It also helps you set benchmarks and goals. So when I'm working with small business owners, I say, what are 3 identifiable goals that you want to see happen through your marketing efforts? And a lot of times they're like, I have no idea. Like, do I want to just sell products? Do I want to engage people? Do I want to grow my following? Those are all really important goals to kind of keep in mind. But you need to be thinking about those as you're kind of working through your marketing efforts. It also helps you plan long-term. So planning for the now helps you plan for later. And it's an investment. And who doesn't want their business to grow? If you're not going to invest the time and the money into your business, then you're not going to see the success that you want to see. Defining your goals and marketing strategy. So these are questions to ask yourself right off the hop. This also plays into how to create your marketing budget and what kind of endeavors you're going to kind of dive into when you actually set your marketing strategy. So the first thing that you're going to want to ask yourself is, what does my target audience need? And how does my product or service fulfill that need? So you really need to understand the pain point, and that's going to be at the forefront of your strategy. I always give the example that Simple Desk is here for small to medium businesses who are probably frustrated with where they are at. They're ready to move on to the next level, but they're just like, I don't know how to do that. So a lot of our marketing specifically targets that, and how our services or how our team or how our knowledge can help support you as we kind of move forward to the next steps. The second question is, what do I want to see happen from my efforts? So I always ask again, identify 1 to 3 goals. Number 3, what dates do I need to focus on, and how long do I need to adequately bring awareness to my efforts? Right now we are in the throes of the holiday season, and I cannot tell you how many people I have started talking to who are just looking to start strategizing for the holidays now. So if you haven't already planned, you're behind on the 8 ball, you're not going to see the success that you need to see. When we are looking at holiday marketing specifically, especially if you're in the product industry, we always need to be thinking 1 to 3 months ahead. Always just kind of be thinking ahead, and what does that look like? What dates do I need to set, and what marketing efforts are going to support those dates? Number 4 is, where is my audience primarily engaging with us? So is it on Instagram? Is it on Facebook? Is it through e-newsletters? Leveraging just the strategies that your audience is really kind of responding to. Number 5, what am I or my employees capable of undertaking? How much time do we need to execute this plan? As somebody who's worked in marketing for 6 years, I have worked in many positions where I'm the only person doing marketing, and wearing a lot of hats is frustrating and it's difficult. And oftentimes you are just thrown something and just hope that you can kind of figure it out. And it's always last minute. So then you don't see the efforts or the return for your efforts, which is even more frustrating. So it's always important to understand what your role or responsibility is, or what your employees' responsibilities are, being able to delegate, and then making sure that you're creating a plan that gives you enough lead time for those efforts. Number 6 is, what is my sales funnel or buyer journey? And we will go over that a little bit further on in the slides. And how many touch points will this have? So as a general rule of thumb, 7 is the recommended number of touch points. Now that doesn't mean that you have to do 1 post on Facebook, 1 post on Instagram, 1 post or 1 email. It doesn't mean that necessarily. It just means that you should be showing whatever effort you're trying to push at least 7 times. So that could be simply on Instagram. You could do a post, you could do a carousel, you could do a live, you could do a story. That's multiple touch points. Yes, Brianna.
Can you elaborate on what touch points are?
Yeah, so touch points is if I am if I'm somebody who's going to be buying something, if I just see something on social media or see something come through my email newsletter, that's a touch point. So if I'm able to see, like, I got an email, or if I got a Facebook post, that's a touch point. Yeah, it doesn't mean like separate like
going from point A to point B.
Exactly. Yeah, it just means that you're visible up to 7 times for that particular endeavor that you're kind of pushing. And like I said, you are going to need to know these answers to create your marketing budget, and of course your plan as well. So analyzing your costs. So again, this is something that people forget to do often. So a common rule of thumb is that B2B companies, which would be Simple Desk here, should spend between 2 and 5% of their revenue on marketing. For B2C companies, the proportion is often higher, so between 5 and 10%. And this is because B2C companies need to invest in more marketing channels to reach various customer segments. So the cost to really factor in, it's okay if you're watching this and you're like, I've never even thought about these things in my life. It's always a good place to start. And when you know what you should be doing, then you can make sure that you're doing things right for the next time. So the cost to factor in is my website. Most people will use their social media to drive to the website. If your website is not functional, if it's slow, if you're not sending them to the right place, what do you need to do to update that? If you're product-based, oftentimes you'll create specific landing pages for the holidays. What does that cost to create those things? Social media. So you can do straight organic social media where you don't have to pay to do any ads or boost any posts, but you do need to factor in somebody's time. So what you're paying somebody to do that, or what it costs you to do that. Online advertising. So if you're going to be doing Google ads, social media ads, whatever online advertising avenues you're going to explore, that's something that you're going to want to factor in. Traditional media, some people do have the budget for radio, billboards, that kind of stuff. Most of you probably won't be worrying about that at the moment, but it is something to consider. Emails and e-newsletters. Often with email communities, you give them a little bit more than you would necessarily your social media. It's just kind of a thank you for being part of an exclusive community. So you do do a lot of like offers. So if you're going to be doing that 10, 25% off, what does that cost you in the long run to do that? Video. So if you're not adept at doing video, what's that going to cost you to produce that for your specific endeavor? Training and or employee costs, which is huge. If you don't, if you have an employee that wants to step up but doesn't know how to do it, you have to pay for training or just what they're worth on an hourly basis, and potentially outsourcing. So that's also a big thing for people to consider when it comes to their budget. Is outsourcing going to be cheaper for me than hiring somebody full-time to do it? And then your revenue and current costs. So this is not just for marketing specifically. It's how much money do I have coming in? What am I paying for? What do the costs look like? Do I have enough budget to adequately finance my marketing strategy? So creating your marketing budget and plan. So there's different types of marketing plans to consider, obviously based on what you're looking to achieve. So there's revenue-based, competition match, where you just kind of try to do the exact same advertising endeavors as your competition. Top down, where management just decides you're going to be doing this. And then goal driven, which is my preferred method. I like to set tangible metrics so that way everybody feels motivated and excited about where the business is going. So when we figure out what plan we're going to create, how do we actually create the plan itself? So we start small. So spend no more than a few hundred or a few thousand, depending on where your business is at, to pilot a new marketing project. I always recommend steering clear of radio, billboards, all those kinds of things, unless you have the larger investment and the capability to do so. Then you're going to want to set goals. So again, those goals are always going to be top of mind for you. It can even be monthly. Like if I'm going to be launching a holiday collection, what do I want to see happen? How many products do I want to sell? How much website traffic do I want to see happen? Then track results. Data is incredibly important here, and it does kind of lend to the next point there, which is how you move forward with your marketing efforts. You don't want to just keep doing the same thing because that's what you know how to do, but like, why waste time doing something that doesn't get you the results that you want? Oftentimes when I'm asking people, well, what do you find from social media works really well for you? They have no idea because they don't know where to go to look at the analytics and kind of see, oh, video really responds well, or people really respond well to video, or they're really liking when I go live. Like that data is invaluable to your business, and it's the only way that you're going to create a strong strategy. You want to create graphics and videos and other content that are fresh, engaging, and exciting and on brand. And then consider a content mix. So videos, reels, lives, carousel posts, static images. Sometimes marketing is, I consider it an art. Like, you're never going to nail it the first time. So sometimes you have to try things and realize, okay, this is not working for me, or I might have to just go do videos or reels or whatever. So it's very important that you consider a content mix and leverage what works best for you. And what avenues am I going to be exploring? Is it going to be Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok? It doesn't, whatever is going to work best for you and where your audience is primarily living, that's where you want to kind of explore. Next thing you're going to want to consider is the cadence and timing. So again, social media is an art. You might think I'm going to be posting first thing in the morning on Facebook and it's going to do well. But again, looking at that data will really tell you whether or not that's the feasible plan and strategy for you moving forward. Don't be afraid to try new things. Like, oftentimes when I'm working with small business owners, they say, oh, I don't have a face for video, or like, I don't know how to do that, but it's always worth the effort to try. And then that might be something that's actually really moving the needle for your business. And then hashtag research for Instagram. If you're exploring Instagram, do your research when it comes to hashtags. Just don't throw them in. You'll be able to see which hashtags are being leveraged the most, and you're going to want to add those to your post. Don't get crazy and add like 40 because it doesn't really do you any justice. So really leverage the hashtags that are the most beneficial for your business. So if you've created, or if you've been to a webinar with me before, this calendar is going to look super familiar because I use it in almost everything. And this is what I use to keep people organized. Like I said, I work with people who have no organization whatsoever. So the way to kind of fix that is to give them the systems to be organized.
I have a question.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you go about researching hashtags?
Yeah, so what I recommend first off is if you have like competition, or if there's somebody that does something similar to you and they're doing a really good job online, I look at what they're doing, right? Like, if you're going to be in active competition with them, so you should be very aware about what your competition is. Sometimes people will say to me, I don't have any competitors, but you have somebody who might do one thing that you do the exact same. So it's good to be aware of that, because that's still a segment of your business that is in competition with somebody else.
Even if it's like completely outside of your area, like say in the States or something.
Exactly. If it's the same industry, look at what they're doing. And a big thing too, especially locally, because I'm sure most people here are local, look at what people like Trendval or Small Business Center or City of Quinte West or Bay of Quinte, what kind of hashtags are they using? Bay of Quinte especially has like an incredible reach, and the hashtags that they use, I would also leverage in my strategy, because that's who I want to reach, right? Is the people locally. So it takes a bit of time, but I would do some testing as well. So like, maybe you have top 20 and then you might rotate like 10 per post, and then look at the analytics and see which hashtags are really helping you, of course, move the needle on your business. I hope that answered the question. My big tip is the worst thing that you can do is not plan ahead, especially for the larger holiday seasons. I always use a content calendar because it's really helpful. It gives me a bird's eye view of what specifically I'm posting when. If I'm working with team members and we are on a collaborative project, then it's good for them to know what I'm thinking or where I need to support and where they need to support me with their efforts. You're going to absolutely want to know the answers to the 7 questions I posed to you at the beginning of the webinar, because if you don't understand what your ideal target audience needs, how are you going to create content that fits that particular or fulfills that particular need? Create content in advance if you can, and make your content go farther. For example, blogs can be used many times to create a lot of content. So if I'm creating a blog piece, I might do an email based off of that. And then I might do a carousel post at the beginning of the month, and I might do a static post at the end of the month. So just because you create one piece of content doesn't mean that you can't break it down into smaller pieces and use that for other endeavors. It's going to save you a lot of time, and then you're not going to be trying to recreate the wheel. You've already done the work to put that content together. Assign roles and responsibilities. This is honestly the toughest one, especially for small business owners who are used to doing everything themselves. Delegating tasks is extremely difficult, but if you need help, absolutely ask for it. If you've got team members who can step up and do it, then you need to give them the roles and responsibilities, but also the time frame. So if I'm looking at this content calendar and I see that an email needs to go out at the end of the month, what date do I have to have that content ready for my boss or whoever to look at it, approve it, and schedule it, and then we move on to the next thing. Schedule your posts to deploy on your schedule so that you don't have to manually do it. So I always work a month in advance. You can work quarterly, so 3 months in advance, whatever works best for your business, but it just gives you that leverage where you just spend a couple of hours a month planning out your content, scheduling it using Meta Business Suites, which is free, so no extra software you have to pay for, and then just letting it run on its own, and you can handle other things. You should also factor in actively engaging with your community and those who follow you throughout each month. So another big disservice you can do to your business is just posting and then not engaging. So not responding to comments or following people within the community, engaging with their posts. It's within this community, especially, it's very give and take. So if you're following people and you're commenting on their posts, it's very likely that they're going to comment on yours. So it's a great community here. So why not engage?
How do you find the time to do that? That's
Yeah.
what I struggle.
And yes, absolutely. And it's difficult. So with you, it's harder because you don't have a lot of
It's
time.
just the two of us.
Yeah, so I'm honestly guilty of this, and like I don't really like to advocate for working outside the hours, but I'll post something, like I'll schedule to go out, and then like on my lunch or like in the evenings, I'll just be scrolling on
And you're
Instagram
sitting,
and
you know, like after dinner and you're just relaxing and you're on your phone for like whatever. And then you're working.
yes, exactly. I'm like the worst person for that, but you have to try to kind of make some time. Like I know that sounds like
I
a
wasn't sure if there was a secret
no,
or
I
something.
wish that there was, I always keep my notifications on. So if anybody comments like a question or something, then I can actively engage. But for actively engaging with community members, I just try to carve out a little bit of time every day or in the week. So
Okay.
yeah, just kind of trying to, and that's where systems really come into play. So if you're really systemizing your processes, then you will find that you freed up a little bit more time.
We have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is a carousel post?
Yeah, so that's a multiple, like that's more than one. So a static image is a single image. Carousel post is multiple images or video. From what I've read a lot of and from my own efforts, like trying things out, carousel posts actually do quite well because it's just human nature to see something and be like, oh, I'm going to scroll, right? So like you're more likely to scroll by something like there's just a single image or a single video, but if there's something multiple that kind of forces you to swipe through, it's just human nature. Even if you're not interested in the content, it's just, oh, I gotta scroll. So carousel posts are a good mix of that. We do that for like tips. So for like 5 things that you need to know, every picture has a single tip.
Is
So
that for Facebook or is that for Instagram or is it for both?
it's for Instagram. So this is a great thing where you can repurpose content. So that's ideal for Instagram,
Okay.
but then you can repurpose those pieces into like a video and make like a slideshow or a video to post on Facebook. So you don't have to, if you use Canva or something like, which I use frequently, you can actually just download it as an MP4 and then you have a piece of video content to use.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So then you don't have to recreate anything. It's just, you just set it to you. What I do is I create my carousel posts, just download it as PNGs. And then I switch it over to MP4 and then I put whatever fades or music or whatever I want into it and just download it as an MP4 and then you.
So instead of having to
another piece of
actually like
content.
click on it, it just automatically goes through.
Yeah.
That's way easier than trying to manage.
Work smarter, not harder. And then you want to create a cohesive, well thought out plan. So for example, if you are a product-based business and you are launching something for a holiday collection, how many times do you want to post about that on social media? How many emails do you want going out? Do you want to be updating your Google My Business to show that offer? What different steps need to be taken into account? And what does that look like on a monthly basis for you?
Black Friday is just around.
Black Friday is around the corner, so I hope everyone's thinking about that. So this is really key. So oftentimes when I'm talking to people, I say sales funnel, they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that is a big problem, especially if you are in business. So a sales funnel is a consumer-focused marketing model that basically illustrates the journey that the customer is going to take. So, for example, okay, they see a post on Facebook, there's a link to it. The link goes to a landing page. What does that landing page look like? How are we offering that? What does the checkout process look like if you have e-commerce? What are the items on the landing page that need to be there to really push them further down the funnel. What's the follow-up? What's the delivery? What does that look like? And then a pipeline is different. So a pipeline reflects what a seller does during the sales process in order to secure the sale or the booking. So knowing exactly what steps you're going to take are key. I cannot tell you the amount of times people have done like a holiday launch and their website's slow, or they're not sending them to the right place, or the checkout process is like 10 different steps. Statistically, the more steps that they have to take, the less likely they are to convert as a paid customer. So you need to keep it simple, send them exactly where you need them to, make it as easy as possible. So sometimes this will require testing, but it is key because you're going to be losing out on leads. Absolutely. So this is the part I think people will get the most, like they will really enjoy this part because it's low budget marketing ideas to kind of think if you're feeling a little bit drained about your marketing efforts. So Google My Business Listing, everybody pretty much has one of these. If you don't, you should get them. It's free. From my expertise of doing this for a little bit, there is an offer section on Google My Business where you can say, I'm having 15% off for the next week or for the month or a Black Friday sale, whatever that looks like for you. From what I've seen and from my own experience, that just drives more traffic to your listing. I've never once had an offer and not have it gone up monumentously. It just really helps. So if you're doing offers, especially if you're a product-based business, take advantage of that section. It's free. You already have it. So why not leverage it? And with your Google My Business listing, you're also going to want to be updating it periodically. So swapping out images as you get new ones, just keeping it fresh because that will help with traction. Everybody looks for things on Google. If you're not leveraging that to the best of your abilities, then you are wasting that opportunity. Search engine optimization. This can get expensive, but this is where you kind of can outsource to somebody who has a realistic budget about what it costs. So search engine optimization is basically understanding what keywords people use in Google to find your products or services. Once you know what those keywords are, you leverage those in an SEO strategy throughout your website, which just helps you get in front of more people. For example, if people are searching for small business support, Small Business Center hopefully has an SEO strategy to support that because they worked it out through an SEO strategy, which will help them place ahead of somebody who is a competitor, which is what you want. You don't want to be showing really poorly on Google.
Okay.
You do okay. I have no doubt about that. But statistically, if you're even the third one down, they're going to go for the first two because they showed up first. People are looking for the quickest solution. They're just going to go for it. So you don't want to miss out on leads that way. Next thing you're going to want to do is deploy emails congruent with your social media strategy. So if you have a social media strategy out and you have not factored in email, but you have a list, you need to absolutely do that. It's just another touch point for you, and it makes the most sense strategically for promoting whatever it is that you want to promote. Lead magnets, so free PDFs, ebooks, mini courses, videos, digital downloads, etc. You probably have something like this already, or something that you can piecemeal and just add it as a lead magnet. For example, Simple Desk has a free audit where you just put in your information. We create an audit for you where we look at your business from an analytical perspective and identify what parts need to be strengthened. But it just helps create a stronger sales funnel. If you know people are interested, if there's a free download, then you can kind of push them down the funnel. So like, here's a free offer, you follow up with them, you check in and say, hey, because you're interested in this, we also have this, right? So it creates a stronger sales funnel rather than just trying to reach out to somebody that you don't know if they're interested or not, or just following you for support. Collaborative partnerships and features. This is huge for a lot of people. So that's working with other local businesses or going on to podcasts or having articles written about you or blogs or whatever. Collaborative partnerships are key because you're leveraging somebody else's audience. You haven't had to do all this work to kind of get new people. It's like, hey, I'm working with somebody who has 1,000 followers. That's 1,000 more people who are potentially going to become interested in your brand. And they're usually pretty cost effective. It's not like you really have to pay. Especially in this area, people are very give and take. Like they're not going to charge you a crazy amount or they're going to do it free. So leverage those collaborative partnerships if you can. This one is often one that people don't think about, but it is amazing. So user-generated content and brand ambassadors. So often your most influential brand ambassadors are your employees. So if you have a really great business model and your employees are passionate about it, then they're your brand ambassadors. They're the best one to speak to what you do in your business. But user-generated content is free. So if they'll tag you in a post, if you really like that image, you can just message them and say, hey, can I use this on on our social medias, 99% of the time they say, yeah, they don't want any financial compensation for it. So that's a piece of content that you don't have to take yourself and figure out, just credit them within your posting. Repurpose older content. So like I said, if you posted something 6 months ago, you can reuse that. There's no time frame for that piece of, as long as it's not outdated, you can just take that again. Like we do that a lot with blogs. If the content's still relevant, why not create a video, or why not do a reel or something like that to kind of leverage that content? You don't want to always be reinventing the wheel, because you will get burnt out. Create an email offer specifically for your email list. So it doesn't really cost you that much other than whatever the percentage off is, but your email list is your most nurtured piece of, or your most nurtured marketing avenue. If somebody signed up for their email, that's a pretty big deal, because we get bombarded with emails all the time. So make it worth their while to be on your marketing or your email list. Ask your happy customers for reviews. So again, it doesn't feel necessarily like a marketing piece, but one of the most influential or motivating things for people is to read reviews and see how people have responded to a product or service. I never go for a business where there's any negative reviews. So if I see a lot of positive reviews, I'm like, okay, I'm sold as a potential client or consumer. Run a contest. So this could be something as easy as buying a gift card from a local place that people like. For example, the Grind and Vine would be a great place to buy a $50 gift card and run a contest, but you can ask for follows, you can ask for likes, you can ask for engagement, which will boost your other content. So the more engaged people are with a certain piece of content, the more engagement it helps them kind of your other posts reach them as well. And then start a blog. So that's just something fun to do. Not a lot of people will have the time to do it, but it is great to just get information out. It does position you as an industry leader, so it shows that you're knowledgeable in your particular industry, but it also helps with SEO. So if you're doing blogs that specifically support what it is that you do and people are stumbling upon it, more traffic to your website, which is key, but then it also just helps you kind of get in front of people. So evaluating your marketing efforts for future successes. So in my experience, reviewing analytics is the one thing that most business owners don't do. They just look at their social media and say, oh, I didn't get a lot of likes or I didn't get a lot of comments, but likes and comments are not everything. It doesn't necessarily mean whether or not your campaign was successful. So here are the metrics that you want to look at and what you specifically want to look for. So if you have a website, you're going to want to have Google Analytics set up. So you're going to want to see how many visitors came to my site in that month or that week. Where did they come from? So did they come from social media? Did they come from organic search? Did they come from direct, which could be email? How long did they stay on the page? So if you're seeing that they were on there for 50 seconds, they didn't do anything while they were there. There's something obviously wrong with your website, or you need to kind of tighten it up to keep that interest there. And what is the drop-off rate? If your drop-off rate is more than 50%, there is definitely some reworking that needs to be done. It just means that there's nothing, maybe the verbiage isn't strong, maybe the website itself isn't strong, you need to change something up because it's not capturing your audience and holding them for long enough. For email, you're going to want to look at open and click-through rate. Social media, like, shares, and comments and clicks are great, but you can actually just go on the back end and look and see how many clicks from a particular post went to your website or wherever you're sending them. That's my highest metric. I like to look at that because somebody could see something and not like it, but they could have clicked through and completed a purchase or signed up for something. Google My Business monthly view. So look at that monthly and see how much traffic you're getting. If it's very low, then you obviously know some tweaking needs to happen, whether that be adding offers, adding a list of services more in depth, adding more photos, whatever that is. Again, it's free. So but just make sure that you're getting enough traffic to it. And then social ads. Sometimes people have they'll have a budget for social media. It might be $25 to $50. You don't have to have a crazy budget to run ads, but you're going to want to look at things like reach. So how many people did it reach? How many clicks were there and what were the engagement? For me, I'm more into clicks, obviously, because it obviously shows that people are motivated as opposed to just sending an ad everywhere. Engaged, like reach is great, but if they didn't take the action that you want them to take, then that ad has technically failed. And then last but not least, cost. What did it cost you to market your business within the time frame? Was that budget used well? So all in all, your analytics will tell you what was successful and what was not. It's not just about how many sales have occurred. Sometimes you'll have to do something multiple times, but it's just that top of mind awareness. So just because that one post didn't do well doesn't mean that your campaign has failed. Sometimes it takes multiple posts. If the campaign proves to be ROI positive, investigate. So what did it what was it about it that resonated with your customer? Then find ways to invest that further. If it's they're liking video, if they're liking email, use that for further marketing strategies, especially if you're trying to increase sales or bookings. And if the campaign didn't work, just put it on the back end, reassess, and consider something else. So it doesn't mean that necessarily that's a terrible thing to explore. Could be that you just didn't do it right, or it wasn't the right time. So there's lots of things to factor in. It doesn't mean that you just scrap it completely, but you might want to table it for the time being, just to leverage things that are actually working for you. Most importantly, rinse and repeat. So when you create a sales funnel that works, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. A rinse and repeat strategy is effective and easy. So this is just basically where you find a marketing strategy that works and then you reuse it. So for example, one of my clients does summits. So a free summit, just everybody, just kind of talking about her specific area of interest, like she's women in midlife. That's the first part of the funnel. The next part is a masterclass where you kind of, once the summit is done, the masterclass kind of wraps up the summit a little bit nice, but then also positions her whatever she's selling. So in this case, it's a membership. Then those people fall into an email nurture sequence where you might have 4 to 5 emails, just kind of pushing them down the pipeline for that particular membership. And then you upsell that product or service at the end. So this is a funnel that she uses twice a year and has been quite effective. 1 for growing email leads and 2 for getting more people on her membership. So oftentimes when you're creating a marketing strategy that works, just reuse it. You're just changing the messaging. So if it's like, okay, if I do this live or whatever, and I direct people to the website on this particular landing page, do that the next time. Just change whatever the offer is or whatever the messaging is. So tips for success and recap. So remove it from your mind that you can't have success in marketing without a budget. It's doable. I've seen it. I've been a part of it. So it's 100% possible. Like I'm talking about, like I was in the mud with people who just couldn't even afford to hire people to do things during COVID. And it's just like, it's possible to market your business and not have a large budget or have to pay for things. Organic marketing, when it's done right, will absolutely support your business. So define your goals and always aim to plan ahead. Understand your target audience and how you can support them. Analyze all of your costs, not just for your marketing efforts. And then ask yourself the questions within this webinar. So I will send the webinar to Brianna and she can send that out to everybody. These are questions that you always want to keep top of mind. This is going to help you establish your budget and your plan. Use a content calendar and delegate where possible. Only exploring avenues where you know your target audience is. Have a clear idea of your sales funnel and how it works. Tighten up any areas that might be gray or not working properly. Review your analytics, tweaking as needed, and creating as much of a rinse and repeat strategy as possible, and have fun with your marketing efforts. Marketing is tough. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, so I don't know.
That's okay.
I don't know if
Can you still see me?
Yeah, they can still see you.
Okay. Yeah, so
Just can't see that.
yeah, that's okay. I was on the last point anyway, but marketing should not feel like you're just running through quicksand. It should be fun. And that's because you might not be exploring the avenues that bring you the most joy that you like to do, or you're not leveraging your staff properly to explore those avenues. So don't approach marketing as just another thing that I have to do. This is how you put like your brand messaging and a face to your business. So have fun with it and don't think of it as this big beast that you have to tackle. You can do a lot of fun things and not have to break the bank, which I think is really important.
See, everyone here gets to see you like cameras.
I can definitely, like, that was the last slide anyway. So if people want to ask questions, I'm more than happy to kind of
There we
respond to
go.
those. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Sorry, guys, we had a weird thing that came on our screen.
Tech problems.
Anyone have any questions? This is your chance. I will stop recording. So if you wish to unmute, you're more than welcome to do so.